What's going on, everybody? It's Marv from Highlighter TCG, and I've come to give you guys another week cross deck profile. Today, we're going to be looking at DXM, and this is going to be the X Center deck. So this is pretty much the boogeyman of the format. Most people are highly anticipating this deck, and this will be like the deck that you'll be seeing in tournaments for the next, for at least this set. DXM will pretty much rule over the meta for the next couple of sets, and X is going to be the first iteration of the DXM decks. So let's go ahead and move on into the deck itself. For anybody who just wants to listen, here you guys go. We're going to pretty much break down every card in this deck, talk about it because there's a lot of new stuff we're working with here, and we'll go ahead and move on. Moving on into the Outrig deck, we have a lot to talk about here. So we have X one, two, and three. Um, let's go ahead and talk about three. We have X3. Whenever a soul is attached to one of your Signee on your field, you may discard a card if you do draw a card, and then it has the act ability to attach a card under into one of your Signee as a soul. And then you may exceed three, remove a piece from your Outrig deck, and then give two of your red Signee assassin. So this is strong for a myriad of reasons. The whole soul mechanic is incredibly strong, basically allowing you to use the excess level twos and ones inside of your Outrig deck as ways to give all of your Signee extra effects, and they're very strong at that. And the whole soul mechanic is just very good. The filter effect helps you proc the some of the level threes in this deck. And the Exceed 3 effect is one of the strongest effects I've seen printed on a card. Being able to give two Signee's Assassin is very, very strong assassin, is very prominent in this deck, and it is one of your main ways of pushing damage. And it also allows you to create some really nasty boards, and we'll go ahead and talk about that when we get to Signee. So for X2, when it is a soul, basically you give your Signee on attack vanish a 12 or less. This is already strong as is. 12k or less removal has been seen on pay 1 or pay 2. This is just free. And then we have X1, which gives your Signee the on attack to draw one or enter charge one. Once again, very strong. Just being able to replenish any resource that you need. This can easily be used to set up any of your extra turns that you might be going into or your defensive plays during your opponent's turn, giving you the resource to do so. And overall, just this whole lineup is what's pretty much going to be changing about Waycross. We're going to be seeing a deck that at a level of strength that we've never seen any Waycross deck get to yet. But let's go ahead and talk about the level ones here. We have Machina Wing Slash. So you can on play banish a level one Signee your opponent's field, and then you can add a level one without guard from drop to hand. Because we have access to this double black assist, we are playing a lot of recursion, and so pretty much you do get to get away with running a lot of variants in this deck, and anything that does require any other piece, you'll pretty much always be able to see it because of how much this deck actually has with the drop. Next, we have Deuce Recovery, which is on play. You and mill two, and then you can add a black and a red from drop. And then when it is used for an exceed cost, you can discard a card to add a black or red from your drop back to your hand. Once again, just giving you a way to have more resources. And then the second effect is just insanely strong. Being able to use it for exceed just to get more benefit, have more consistency. And the fact that these level ones just have two effects printed on them is once again something that we haven't really seen in Wecross. We've only seen like effects that will either pop or draw, but these generally have two different effects that both give you advantage in some form, which is, like I said, very new to the game for us. Moving on into level twos, we play Machina Smash and do Shield. So for Machina Smash, it's pay one, give minus 12k power to a Signee, and then you can pay a block to add one back from drop without Guardian. And so this is, I mean, this is a pretty standard kind of level two, just pop something, add something back. But once again, just gives us a form of recursion and easy form of removal. We're playing this one over the other options because the pay one is pretty relevant. There is a lot of enter burning in this format, so we do want to make sure that we're safe on what we play. And then plus this deck does like to go double level 3 into level 1 a lot, so this just gives us the option to do so. And we get to hit that 7 limit very easy at a cheap cost of 1. Next we have is the Do Shield, which has the pay 3. When you use it, you can or the next two times you would take damage, you don't, and then you give your Outrig the effect that you mill 5 at the end of the turn. You can pay a black of 2 colorless to gain that same effect. So this is very similar to something like Clap or Disrespect, which in some forms can stop 3 attacks. But this one's a lot better because you do actually get to stop three attacks. So this can even stop Outrig attacks on correct board states. So if you do have like four enter and you have like an open board, you can go like Machina Smash and the shield and stop like the whole turn. Once again, just very strong. And the Mill 10 is actually pretty beneficial for you because you do get to have a lot of recursion. So this can help you see parts of the deck that you wouldn't be able to have access to otherwise. As for the pieces, we're going to talk about Xenocluster first. I pretty much think that this is the best auxiliary piece for this deck. Considering how much you'll be seeing this deck, there'll be a lot of energy burning in this format. So this just helps you insulate yourself against the deck and any type of blue deck that might come out. Because blue is pretty promoted in the set too, so there might be a lot of people trying it. But yeah, Xenocluster is just good, and it's a good piece to get rid of when you don't need in certain matchups. They do have an auxiliary piece that's I think called Death Dance, but it is pay three to do really or to do three powerful effects. But I personally just prefer Xenocluster for the insulation of any kind of matchup. And the three inner cost is quite large for this kind of deck. The next one is their team piece, which is Trigger Victory. You can pay one, burn your opponent, or crush one of your opponent's life cloth, and then you get to salvage one without Guardian. This is incredibly strong. Pretty much, if you need any piece, you can ping them for one and then add something back. This is good on certain or on board states for going for lethal. Um, this is good for a myriad of reasons. Pretty much main phase burn can always be strong. And yeah, just an incredibly strong piece. Just being able to both recur and then deal the damage is like I said. Once again, we haven't seen something like this in us yet. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on into the Signees. We're gonna go and talk about the level ones. We have four of this dual color. Once again, we just need this for color consistency. It helps us get that double 5K early game that we need. But we are playing a little bit of black splash in here, so we want to have the colors necessary to be able to pay for them. Next, we have Cargo Code Ride. You may put a card from your opponent's enter zone into their trash, and if you do, your opponent enter charges one, then has a life versus or a red, and then you can vanish an AK or less. We're pretty much playing this because this does combo in with another level 2 that we're playing, and then the life burst effect is pretty okay overall. But this is just a way to maybe choke your opponent out of certain enter colors and be able to like create those lethal board states if you happen to RNG like the right colors at the top of their deck, something like that. But next we have four copies of Imp. So this one isn't translated yet, but pretty much all it is has a life burst ability to give minus 8K, and it's a 5K body. This is a new line of level ones that are going to be vanilla 5K kind of effects. Very strong effect. Once again, there is a red version of this, I believe, but we're playing the black one just of color consistency. And the minus 8K can help us more than I believe vanishing an 8K or less, just because it does give us a way to possibly protect the lane. But yeah. The last two level ones are Iwatoshi. Beginning of your attack phase, you can pay colors. If you do, you burn one of your opponent's enter that doesn't share a color with your opponent's Outrig. So yeah, once again, just on theme with burning enter. There's going to be a lot of this effect, especially at level 3. But we are playing like this early game enter burn package for a level 2 that we're playing. But let's go ahead and talk about that right now. So for level 2s, we have 4 copies of Morax Crimson Evil. Whenever the Signee attacks, if one or more cards were put when it's entered into the trash by your effect, you can enter charge 1. It has a life first effect to vanish a Signee in your opponent's field unless they pay 2. So once again, just helping us with some enter in the early game. This deck doesn't do too much, I guess you could say, in the early game. The level 3 spike is really, really strong. But this just gives us something a little more to do at level 2. And then the life first effect is pretty decent, actually, because we do like to choke our opponent on enter as much as possible because we are creating these large assassin boards. So having or forcing them to pay any amount of enter is really good for us. However, this can be a pretty underwhelming life burst if your opponent's like going for lethal, and this is the only thing that you can hit. But other than that, it's still very strong. Or Lancelot, I'm pretty much not going to explain this. We have talked about this in like pretty much every red deck that we've seen. So yeah, Lancelot's still here. Good red card. And then we have 2 Deafening Inferno just to pay 1 to vanish an 8K or less. This just kind of rounds up our red and needed something to fill in our trigger slot. They do have a red black spell that you could pay 2 and I believe vanish like a 12K or less and then mill your opponent for 4. But I do think this card is just more consistent. You do want to be playing the low enter cost because most of the stuff that you want to be paying at the top is a lot better. Moving on into level 3. So this is pretty much the meat and bones of the deck. This is what makes DXM so incredibly strong. But let's go ahead and break it down. First, we're playing Gold Wing. So this is DXM level 3 staple. At the beginning of your attack phase, if there are two or more cards in your opponent's ender zone, you can discard one of them. And only if you had discarded the card during this turn. So it pretty much gives you another way to burn more enter on your opponents, and then you can pay 2 red and a colors to gain double crush for the turn. Um, Very strong, just being able to enter burn your opponent and choke them out along with double crush is really good. Even though this can access the Xenocluster, this deck has to. This deck makes people think about how when to use Xenocluster because there's so much burning effects, and you can have them happen during the turn. So it definitely makes it a lot harder for your opponent to play the game. Next to playing 4 copies of Kentucky, you have it's Harmony for 1 black Outrig. And then at the beginning of your attack phase, if you have a Soul, there are 2 or more cards in your opponent's ender zone, they have to burn one of them. And then has an on-enter effect to a red and a black, and this Signee gains Assassin. So pretty much talking about the Harmony cost, it doesn't exist because we're playing 2 black Outrig or assist Outrigs, so meaning we are able to actually play 2 of these on a single turn if we wanted to. And then being able to burn more of your opponent's ender is always good because it does get Assassin. You pretty much will always get Assassin with this. There's a reason why I call this deck Assassin Tribal because you're able to spread out so much of Assassin all over your field, which is, like I said, unseen because the weak cross that we're more used to has been more accustomed to having just hard removal. And Assassin hasn't been very accessible like this, being in like a pay 2 form and having a lot more higher costs. So that's why this card is so incredibly strong. Next, we're playing the 2 copies of Alexandrite. So basically, when one of your Signee gets Assassin, Lancer, or Double Crush, you can pay a red colorless. If you do this, Signee also gains it. And then has the Life Burst effect to banish up Signee or draw a card. This is pretty much how you create those really nasty board states. So if you go something like Goldwing, um, and you gain Double Crush, you can Alexandrite to pay 2, gain Double Crush, and then you can use X to give them both Assassin, which once again is like very unheard of in this game. Being able to do Assassin Double Crush has at this accessibility hasn't existed in the game yet. The only other ways you're able to do it is like with the spell plus anything that gains Assassin, and it only worked in red. So once again, yeah, this just helps you create those really nasty board states, and Alexandra is just a really good card. So along with all this ender burning, your opponent would have to deal with 2 of these, so it definitely makes the gameplay a lot harder for them. And this also allows you to have triple assassin boards. You can use X to be able to give you 2 other units assassin, then Alexandra to get the last one. You have a full board of assassin. All of this, and you can pretty much have your opponent have like 2 enter, pretty much limiting all their options that they can have during the battle phase. So yeah, once again, that's pretty much what I mean. Why your opponent has to really use Xenocluster when they absolutely need to, because this deck can pretty much kill you on a lot of board states. It makes them really nasty. It's really crazy. The last level that we're playing is 2 Steampunk Code Ancient. During your turn, when a card under your Elrig moves, you can pay a colorless. If you do, target Signee on your opponent's field gets -8 power, and then has the act ability to down 2 your level 2 Elrigs, then you can bring this card back from your trash. So pretty much this just kind of rounds up your level 3s. And while it's not the strongest card in the deck, it just helps us round out a little bit more of the black that we have. And it does have a lot of synergy with our deck because we are moving our Outrig deck cards around with the soul mechanic. So this just gives us a way to have some easy removal if we need it, if we can't really pay for anything else, and do our like big combo turns. You could just pop something in and start chipping in damage. But yeah, that pretty much just about does it for the deck list. Um, Once again, for anybody who wants a deck list, here you guys go. This is a pretty cookie cutter build. A lot of lists will kind of look very similar to this. There might be some number ratios you can mess around with. This deck can run pretty good on 1-ofs because the amount of drop recursion it has. But this is just kind of like a standardized list for the most part. So yeah, please let me know what you guys think of the list and what you guys are excited for about this set, because I will be posting a lot of DXM content and more content for this set overall. So I will be doing that pretty much for the next up and coming format release of Vertex Diva. So we do have a lot to talk about and a lot of deck profiles to go over. We are going to be seeing a lot more Dream Team too, so I'll be featuring that a lot on my channel as well. But aside from that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.